The second method used in model efficiency results is the representative scenarios. I'm going to be a little bit brief on this topic because it's a little bit academic and it's pretty intense on the math, and honestly I don't think it's going to be tested that much on the mathematical portion on how each of the different methods and selecting your representative scenario is going to be. I just wanted to talk about the idea and the concept behind it. So let's suppose you have your distribution of scenarios, and it kind of looks like this, and maybe has like a little bit of a fat tail right there. The idea is, let's find a way to, instead of doing like all 10,000 scenarios to create the distribution for our mean, let's just pick a sample. So like let's just pick like every nth, for instance, on the scenarios that are across this distribution. And there's different methods on how to do it. Instead of doing like every nth, we're going to do like a distance, and then just find like the scenarios that are the most representative of all of the distribution. And so you get some here in the tail, you get some all over here in the most profitable, etc. of your scenarios. And then instead of running, let's say, all 10,000 scenarios, you only run these ones, and it cuts the number of scenarios you run by a significant amount. It's pretty easy to implement once you understand it academically. That's what companies have said, especially the significance method. I think that's what it was called, that the companies liked using the most. And then they projected it out, and then kind of what I saw in the results, it looked kind of mixed on how well it ran. So let me actually pull up the results right here. They used, some companies used it to calculate the mean, and some of them used it to calculate the CTE 70 right there. And then you had those that did the mean mostly right here. The amount of error they got was pretty minimal. And then those that used it for calculating the CTE 70 metric, I mean, you had this one right here, this block B, that was pretty good, but most of the time it was a really high error. And so what the big takeaway from that is, no matter how good of scenario picking you are, you're not going to pick enough here in the tail. And if you're just, for instance, just doing every nth scenario of significance. And so it's going to be, it's going to miss right here, like the really, really bad scenario. Or maybe it picks one really bad scenario, but it missed like 5 of the other ones that are really bad. And so you really miss out on calculating your CTE metrics. But most companies found that it was a minimal error when they were calculating the mean, for instance. And so this was pretty good in that case, and then for the mean, and it's pretty bad for the tail. And so let me see if I got it all. The initial effort required, I'd say it was probably moderate, just because it might have been a little bit more difficult to academically to process, but once it was there, it'd probably be pretty easy to implement in the future. And then the runtime reduction, that was moderate. And so again, like what it said, like is useful for the mean, but it was limited, especially for like the tail metrics.